Prison guards weren't going to let Tina actually have a last hug with her dad. And his mother became hysterical, really. She just lost it. She begged, she pleaded, she cried.
I don't know exactly what she said to them. I don't know how she pulled it off, but she got them to give us a contact visit just for like 2 minutes. And they said that they were going to have to strip search me.
It's just so degrading. But she did it.
And then I went back in and I gave him a hug. And I sat on his lap. And he told me, he just said, to stay strong and to always be strong and not to be afraid. And I did. Hey, hey! Ho, ho! The death penalty has got to go! I don't think anyone knew what to say to me. And I decided that I wanted to go to school. And then my friend Marvin got on the bus and he said, Tina, I'm really sorry about what happened. I heard that it took them 3 times to kill him and his head got on fire.
There was a malfunction in the electric chair. So for 15 minutes, they jacked him up with jolt after jolt of electricity and watched him literally fry.
I can't be angry at them anymore, but when you talk about it, I mean, there's a certain sense of anger that I feel. There's nothing I can do about it. I mean, of course, I can fight. That's why I'm on this journey. This is what I can do about it. But I can't bring my father back. They can't bring my father back. You know, they can't take away what they've done.
The ones that we have killed in prison, I do feel that we have done the right thing.
You have to believe when someone's been found guilty and put on the death row that they deserved it. That's what our judicial system mandates.
Don't knock the system when it's working.
There are times when it doesn't exactly work, when sometimes is it okay to sacrifice sometimes an innocent one?
Get out and vote.
Yeah, but that's what we're trying to have people do. We're trying to educate them so they'll know.
You got one, we'll just go at it.
But is it okay? Is that acceptable that sometimes we make a mistake?
That happens.
I have a son who soon will die on death row.
When I got the news that my son had taken the life of his girlfriend, my immediate response was to call the mother. I never have a day that I don't think about the victim of my son.
Because see, having a son on death row does something to a mother. You know, it makes her reach way back and wonder, what did I not do right?
Not gonna let Bush blow it out.
It was domestic. It was a crime of passion, and none of those things entered into the decision to try him for capital punishment. Unfair for Robert. There have been people who have done much greater crimes than that, and there's been no death penalty. It's not something you expect to happen to you. All of us think that we can be the victim, but most of us never think the perpetrator can be somebody we love. Robert was my compassionate boy. He was not the person that I thought. I'd be visiting behind a cell door and maybe watch him strapped to a gurney.
Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
If anybody's got any particular encounters that they'd like to share, I think this would be a good time to do that.
I think one of the things that this whole organization has been dwelling on and not so successful at is getting more blacks involved in the movement, because it is more blacks on death row and in prison. And it is the black community that is less likely to become involved in this movement. And as I have been exposed to people of color, I have aggressively one-on-one dialogue with them, and I have let them know that I am the only one in this organization on this trip at this present moment, and that I don't feel that I should be the only one.
The death penalty does not allow for mercy, and if there is no mercy, then there is no justice.
Vengeance is never the answer.
There was no reason to execute Carla Faye Tucker. She's no longer a threat to society.
Like many touched by this case, I have sought guidance through prayer.
He says he prayed. I wonder who he prayed to, because he didn't pray to the same God that I pray to. The Bible says, vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord, I will repay. And so when we want to take vengeance ourselves, we're trying to do God's job.
To say that vengeance is an acceptable answer somewhat diminishes us to the same level of the individual that commits the act at that point in time. You know, for me, murder is not some hypothetical, all I have to do is shut my eyes and I can see it. There's nothing in my experience that is more an abomination. Nothing. And when I feel the rage, which comes upon me at times, I don't want to be as he was at the moment he killed my wife.
I love my son unconditionally. It's not about whether it's right, it's wrong. If vengeance is enough to kill somebody, what do I do with mine?
Hi, Sonny. Hi, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad to see you here.
Glad to see you here, too.
The bus is back in Houston.
What's the deal with the bus?
Well, the air pressure, it wouldn't raise up the air shock, so we had to leave it.
Oh.
We're here at the infamous Walls unit. Just last year, we had 37 executions behind those walls. And believe me, I think we're all here today because we want to see those walls come tumbling down.
Woo! Yes.
It is a little strange. Almost 10 years ago, I just walked out that door. And luckily, this is the first time I've been back to Huntsville. You people are beautiful. Thank God there's people out there like you, because Randall Adams would probably been just another number to these people.
What goes inside that unit is where they literally strap a body down to a gurney, and they pump it full of lethal chemicals until that body is dead. I witnessed the execution of Carla Faye Tucker on February the 3rd of this year. Before I saw that execution, I was wishy-washy on the death penalty. I am no more.
The sound of Carla Faye's air being expunged out of her lungs was a sound that was deafening. It was sickening. It was the most bizarre sound I've ever heard in my life, and I'll never forget it as long as I live. To hear Carla Faye say to Richard Thornton, "I'm sorry for what I did. I hope this brings you some sort of closure," and then to turn and tell all of us that she loved us and that she was sorry for what she did. And what did they do? They killed her. How could anybody condone capital punishment in their right mind after viewing an execution? May God have mercy on us all. When I saw her on that gurney, and then I saw her 2 days later, it didn't do any good. I hoped to receive some sort of closure, but I didn't.
I've seen them fight like lions, boys, and I've seen them go like lambs. I've helped to drag them when they could not stand, and I've heard their mamas crying when they heard the big door slam. And I've seen the victims' families holding hands.
When an execution takes place, we are creating a whole new set of victims' family members, and it's especially terrible for young children to know that the state is going to kill your father, and everybody just stands by and lets it happen.
But he don't live on Ellis Unit 1. Swing low.
I look on them as walls of shame behind which we hide our societal mistakes. We kill them, and this is somehow some way to solve our problems? No. We went to the cemetery, and part of me was screaming as I walked among them that but for the grace of God, that one day I could have been in one of those holes, and upon it was 147915, and that's not who and what I am.
It's Boot Hill.